Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Let me show you different ways that you could access your most recently used folders on your Mac. MACMOST is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 1,000 supporters. Go to MACMOST.com/Patreon. There you could read more about it, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. Now, a question I'm often asked is how can you access recently used folders on your Mac? After all, it's pretty easy to access recently used files. You just look in the left sidebar for recents and then you get a list of them with the latest one first. If you don't see this, by the way, you can go to Finder Settings and then under Sidebar here make sure Recents is checked. But this only shows you files, not folders. And often we want to access the folders we most recently used. After all, we probably have a collection of files in there and an individual file may be something we didn't access recently, but other ones are. So we want to basically go to that folder instead. Now in the Finder there is a direct way to do this. If you go to the Go menu here, there's Recent Folders. And under there you're going to find an alphabetical list of the 10 most recently accessed folders. It's not as useful because it takes a few clicks to get here. And it's sorted alphabetically instead of the most recently used at the top. Incidentally, the reason there are 10 here is because of a system setting. Underneath Desktop and Dock you'll see Recent Documents, Applications, and Servers, and there's a number right here. So what if I wanted recent folders, not just recents? Well, in some instances we have that. For instance, here in Pages, if you go to save a document for the first time, you get the Save dialog, and whether it's expanded like this or shrunk like that, you're going to have this drop down menu here and you're going to find a section called Recent Places. And we'll show you the 5 most recent places. Usually all folders, but it could be, say, the top level of a drive too. And these are sorted in the order you would expect and easy to access. But you only see 5 of them and it's only in the Save dialog here or in the Open dialog. You'll also see those. It would be nice to have the same functionality but in the Finder as well. So while you're in the Finder you can get a list of your most recently accessed folders. So a way to add this to the Finder is to actually create a smart folder, also called a saved search, and put it in the left sidebar. So we can do that by first going to the top level of where we want to have the search. So you may want to go to the top level of your whole hard drive, but more likely you probably want to go either to your Documents folder and just look only in the Documents folder, or perhaps your Home folder. Let's go to the Home folder here and I'm going to do Command F for Find. And I'm not going to use this search box here at the top at all. Instead I'm going to go right to the criteria here and change Kind to Folder. And it's going to show me only folders in that location. Then I'm going to hit the plus button here and I'm going to change Name to Last Open Date. And if you don't see Last Open Date you can always choose Other and find it there. And you could say is within the last, say, 7 days. And this will give you all of the folders that you have opened in the last 7 days. Changes to whatever you want. If you want it to be 1 day, make it that. If you want it to be 14, 30, however much you want. So I'm in the Home folder here, Kindest folder, Last Open Date is within the last 7 days. Now I'm going to click the Save button and I'm going to give it a name. I'll call this Recent Folders. And I'm going to save it into the Save Searches folder, which is a good place to put it so it's out of the way. But I am going to make sure that Add to Sidebar is checked here. And then I'm going to click Save. And now I've got Recent Folders here on the left. I'll drag it to the top, maybe right under Recents. So I have Recents for recent files and Recent Folders, my own creation, to show me all my recent folders. And now I can easily access it by just clicking here in the sidebar. Anytime I open a new Finder window I just go to Recent Folders like that. Note if I have it in column view it's really handy because I can actually view it like this, but the sort order is now alphabetical. But if I change to List View here then you can see Date Last Opened is now the default sort order. You can certainly change that, but because I set it that way in the Smart folder when I saved it, that it will appear like this by default. So I get my top one at the top like that. And notice how it will change automatically. So for instance, notice how Downloads is way down here. If I go to my Downloads folder and then go to Recents, Downloads is now at the top because it's more recently open than any of these others. Now this also will work in Save Dialogs. So if I go here to Pages and I go to Save, notice in the left sidebar I have recent folders. I can select that. Now unfortunately this doesn't work in the Open dialog. If I go to File, Open, and I go to Recent Folders, I don't get anything there. Nothing will bring up the results of the Smart folder in the Open dialog. Not sure why, as it certainly would be handy. Recents certainly appears here, and this is kind of a Smart folder, but for some reason this Smart folder won't work in the Open dialog. It's not really a huge problem, as you can simply just use it here in the Finder, and then of course when you see a folder you've recently gone to, go into it, double click on the file that you want to open, and just open files always from the Finder rather than from inside of the app. Many of us do that already. You can also add this folder to the toolbar by control clicking in the toolbar, choosing Customize Toolbar, and then one of the things that you could do is open up a new Finder window. Then you want to control click on recent folders and show an enclosing folder. Then you get the saved search right there. Drag that into the toolbar here so you can see where it appears there. So now I click Done there to stop customizing. Anytime I want to get to recent folders I could click there and it jumps to it. That makes it maybe stand out as something a little different than all of the rest of the things you have under Favorites in the left sidebar. So there's some useful techniques to quickly get to your most recently opened folders on your Mac. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know. I publish new tutorials each weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.